We tend to think of history as just one thing after another. A list of kings, a series of battles. But what if that's not it at all? What if there are hidden forces, almost like laws of physics, that actually shape the rise and fall of every single civilization? Well, centuries ago, one thinker believed he'd cracked the code. His name was Ibn Khaldun, and today we're diving into his incredible ideas. It's the big question, right? The one that's kept people up at night for thousands of years. We see it all through history. A powerful empire rises, it builds amazing things, it dominates the world, and then, just like that, it falls apart. Why? What is going on behind the scenes? What's the secret mechanism that makes this happen over and over again? So let's meet our guide for this whole explainer, Ibn Khaldun. Now, this guy wasn't your typical historian who just wrote down who won which battle. He saw himself as more of a detective. And he believed that to solve this giant mystery of why empires collapse, you needed a brand new science, a science of human society itself. But before he could build his own theory, he had to tear down the old way of doing things. He basically looked at all the history books of his time and said, "You guys are making some huge mistakes." Here's the problem he saw. Most historians just repeated stories. They didn't really question them. They'd write down what some king did or who won a battle, and they'd often flatter the rulers to stay on their good side. Ibn Khaldun said, hold on, we have to ask if these stories are even possible. He created a new approach he called Umran, the science of civilization. Instead of just asking what happened, he wanted to know why it happened. He looked at social forces, at climate, at the very laws of how people live together, to figure out what was real and what was just fantasy. Okay, so if you're going to build a whole new science of society, you need a core concept, right? Like gravity is for physics. For Ibn Khaldun, that central, all-powerful force was something he called al-asabiyyah. Asabiyyah is the absolute heart of his entire theory. The best way to think about it is, well, it's like the ultimate team spirit. It's that intense feeling of group loyalty, that all for one for all vibe that binds people together. It's the social glue. Without it, you're just a bunch of random people. But with it, with strong asabiyyah, you can conquer the world. And this is a really important point. This powerful glue, this asabiyyah, isn't just about being related by blood. As he says here, we're really the children of our customs. It's the shared experiences, the struggles you go through together, that really forge this unbreakable bond and shape who you become as a group. So once he had this concept of asabiyyah as the engine of history, Ibn Khaldun realized something profound. History wasn't random at all. It actually moves in a clear, predictable, and repeating cycle. And this is it, his grand theory in 5 steps. It starts with a tough, hungry group from the fringes, bursting with that social glue, that asabiyyah. They conquer a soft, comfortable civilization. They build a dynasty, but then, what happens? After a few generations of enjoying the good life, luxury, power, that social glue starts to dissolve. People get comfortable, divided. And that's when the dynasty becomes weak, ripe for the taking by a new, tough group with strong asabiyyah. And the whole cycle starts all over again. I mean, just look at this comparison. It says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you have the founders, united, tough, fiercely loyal to each other. A few generations down the line, you get their descendants, divided, complacent, more concerned with their own personal luxury. They even have to hire outsiders to fight their battles for them. The incredible irony is that the very success of the dynasty creates the conditions for its own destruction. So let's talk a little more about that luxury, because for Ibn Khaldun, this wasn't just a side effect of success, it was the poison. It was the very thing that would rot a dynasty's strength from the inside out. Get a load of this scene, a wedding where the bride is literally showered with 1,000 pearls and is standing on a mat made of pure gold. It sounds insane, right? But for Ibn Khaldun, this wasn't just some juicy gossip. It was a data point. It was hard evidence of a society so obsessed with extravagance that it had totally forgotten the grit and unity that got it there in the first place. And check out this number, 7,500. That's how many hundredweights of money were delivered to the treasury of just one caliph, Harun al-Rashid, every single year. The sheer scale of the wealth is just staggering, and it created this bubble of extreme comfort around the people in charge. And that's the absolute heart of the issue. The more wealth, the more luxury, the softer and more individualistic people become. The we turns into me. That shared purpose just evaporates, and the social glue, the asabiyyah, completely falls apart. This insane wealth wasn't a sign of strength, it was a fatal disease. So, when you step back and look at this whole system, this way of seeing history as a science driven by social forces, you realize just how ahead of his time Ibn Khaldun really was. I mean, he was basically inventing entire fields of study that wouldn't get official names for another 400 or 500 years. His legacy is just massive. We're talking about sociology, analyzing how cities work and what holds groups together. He was doing it. Economics, he was breaking down concepts like the division of labor centuries before Adam Smith. His whole dynastic cycle is basically a foundational model in political science. He even revolutionized the study of history itself, demanding that we use logic and evidence to figure out what really happened. The man was a true genius. And that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? It's been over 600 years since Ibn Khaldun wrote all this down. But as you look at the world around us, at the rise and fall of nations, of companies, even of cultural movements, you just have to wonder, is his engine of history, that cycle of gaining and losing that crucial social glue, still at work today?